Going beyond our limits and continuously improving ourselves is critical to exploration. Exploration can be applied literally, for scouring uncharted lands, or metaphorically, as we develop new ideas that lead to novel inventions. The human desire to see what's beyond what we know has led us to create many incredible inventions that further develop our ability to explore. Thus came the invention of marvels like the microscope, granting us access to a new minuscule world previously invisible to our eyes, or the telescope, providing us a window to the cosmos around us. A fundamental reason for invention is to overcome the limitations placed upon us. One of our ever-present limitations is gravity, which keeps us tethered to the Earth's surface and prevents us from reaching our hopes and dreams that are so often at a higher elevation than us. Think of all the cookies on the shelf that we could never reach because we were too small. Gravity does also keep us in the air we breathe from being lost in the vacuum of space, so it isn't totally useless. We responded to the limitations of gravity with the pursuit of aviation. From granting us access to most of our own world, and even those beyond, aviation has further expanded our limitations of exploration and has since unlocked an even wider space for us to investigate and invent in. As we reach our limits to improving aviation, we look to other sources of inspiration, such as those that have been using it for millions of years: insects. Specifically, we're going to look at one of the pinnacle flyers of the insect world, dragonflies, and how their unique flight strategy allows them to be efficient hunters, and how it can be applied to our own models of aviation. We begin with the basics of flight. What do you need? A wing, air, and lots of speed. As a visualization, imagine a level hand placed out of a moving car window. Now we have three main forces to focus on: acceleration and drag, which are both parallel to the hand, and gravity, which wants to pull it down. The force moving your hand forward is created by the car. This is acceleration, and as it moves forward, the front fit is hit by air. This air creates an opposing force known as drag, which would move your hand backwards if there were enough of it. This can be shown by tilting your hand palm forwards, which increases its surface area and catches more air. With a level hand, the air is separated above and below it in relatively equal proportions by the leading edge or front. However, when you tilt your hand slightly, we change that. You'd be able to feel it being forced upwards. This is due to your hand causing a difference in air pressure, since more air flows below it than above. This difference in pressure, or lack of balance, is absolutely despised by nature and needs to be resolved. So a new force is introduced: lift. Lift is the primary force of flight that opposes gravity and is responsible for carrying animals, planes, and various other objects through the air. From the basics, we then move on to the physics of flight. When planes use lift to fly, they use a low angle of attack, meaning that the direction the wing moves in is relatively parallel to the wind. This means that the air stays roughly in contact with the wing as it separates above and below it, and flows to reach the trailing edge at the same time. The curved wing of the plane ensures that air above the wings is spread out further, reducing its overall pressure and maximizing the difference above and below it. Unlike planes, however, insects don't just move very fast to build up the necessary speed for flight. They have to flap their wings. Where birds will move their wings up and down to generate lift, insects commonly move theirs backwards and forwards. This means that the angle of attack for their wings is high. Not only does this increase the drag caused by the wing, making insects one of the most inefficient flyers, it also increases the amount of energy they need to fly. With such a high angle of attack and a much smaller leading edge, since insects' wings are flat, that flow is disrupted, leading to the formation of a vortex around the top of the wing. In a plane, this results in a loss of lift since it stalls and begins to fall, but insects continuously flap their wings. The continuous generation of vortices allow a suction force to develop, which also results in lift. By altering their wing movements, insects can then control the direction of lift generation, and therefore their movement during flight. Insects clearly don't have the luxury of sitting in cars or the large engines of planes to build up the necessary speed to achieve flight, since they have to do it based on their own biological systems. This is why they have a different set of tools to work with in order to generate flight. Most insects utilize an indirect flight mechanism where the muscles attached to the upper thorax or back of the insect. By pulling it downwards, the wings attached to it are forced to pivot against the sides, causing them to tilt upwards. Because they are unable to push, another set of muscles that rest along the body of the insect contract, forcing the thorax back up and resetting the wings to their original state. It is the cooperation of these muscles that work together to move the wings up and down and allows the insects to fly. Dragonflies apply a unique flight mechanism by having their muscles attached directly to their wings. In doing so, they are able to independently move their fore and hind wings, which allows for rapid accelerations, meaning that they can start and stop moving at high speeds very quickly. They can also move their two pairs of wings in an alternating manner. When one goes up, the other goes down. This independent movement, as well as the alternation of the phase difference, whether the wings move up and down at the same time or not, grants dragonflies final control over the air by their wings, thus allowing them to move in any direction and reach high speeds more rapidly. Dragonflies have another adaptation for flight known as the pterostigma. This is the obvious spot present on their wings, which acts as a weighted stabilizer, preventing their wings from vibrating while they glide, which would reduce their efficiency even further. Insects have often been used as models of aviation and have been especially useful in developing our understanding of aerodynamics, specifically in forward and turning flight, as well as hovering. They have also been employed in the design of micro-aerial vehicles, and in the case of dragonflies, have even been replicated completely in robotic form. This is shown by the BionicOpter from Festo, which can be remotely controlled by a smartphone. Foreseeable and tested applications of dragonfly flight mechanisms have found themselves in the field of medicine, where tiny robots can be used for less invasive procedures, or exploration, scouring claustrophobic and unreachable caverns. The capacity for exploration in miniature size could also be exploited by the spies of the world to secretly collect information. As I conclude this video on the wonderful study of flight and our use of insects as inspiration for going beyond our limitations in it, I encourage you to look beyond the fear and disgust that many of us face when we are presented with insects. Not only do they have a massive impact on the world we live in, as pollinators of plants and sources of food for many animals, they are also a source of inspiration that can enable us to shed our own limitations and expand our ability to explore the world we live in.